Successful business weeks which we have now. I would like to welcome to the pond another very important figure in this college. She's a proud alumni, very much so, from Pierce, I'm too. This is Deree. This is Vice President Claudia Carydis. She's the Vice President for Public Affairs, and you know how important it is for this school to develop an attitude, a charisma, which we didn't have, and it is a charisma, as you know. That's what we are teaching you, to be an extrovert. So it's very, very important for those who are outside the school to know how important the school is. VP Carydis, Claudia, is going to present to you this very interesting panel, and the reason that I'm here is because I would like to thank her, not because she always has helped very much with the preparation of the Business Week, but even more this year she has helped us with this panel. So please welcome the panelists and VP Carydis.
Thank you. Okay. I gave her something before she came to the podium. No, what is true, and I never cease to say it, is how proud I am to be an alum of this institution. And of course, Business Week gives us another opportunity, a very important opportunity to engage again some of our alumni. And I'm very happy that one of them is with us today at the panel. If I may say how happy I am to see again my dear friend, Carydis, in her capacity as an alumni. I'm not here to introduce the whole panel, I'm just saying how happy I am to see her back at the college. She's always been very supportive. We were classmates, along with Andreas, who's sitting at the back here. We were classmates at Deree back in the 80s, and we are very happy to always see our alumni staying engaged with us and helping us, supporting us on every possible occasion. So this is different from what I had in mind saying. Let me tell you that it gives me great pleasure to say just a few words before this, at the opening of this very interesting panel with the topic work-life balance. This is very intriguing for me, the topic, and actually when I first heard the topic, this reminded me of the New Year resolutions that we, at least some of us, do every year. I personally take it very seriously. Every year around the Christmas break, I sit down very seriously and I think and write down a list with all the things I seriously intend to do in the coming year. And I'm very honest, when I write down these things, I say, this year I will definitely start doing these certain things I put on my list. And actually, it's the usual stuff, the diet, exercise more, spend more time with the kids, read more books, all these nice things that we really need to do, and then we get caught up by work and so many serious commitments, and we never actually follow the list we do. But at least we have it. This is an important step. And as one of our speakers said yesterday, he told us a joke about the frogs. I mean, of course it's different making a decision and implementing it, but still, we mean well, and by having down the list, it helps us do at least some of the things. Anyway, here I'm very excited about the discussion that will follow. I'm very eager to listen to what our experts have to say on the topic and maybe get some ideas. I take the opportunity, before I give the floor to the panelists, to thank our students, Deree students and faculty who organized this year's Business Week. As Vince Nano said, it's one of the best business weeks we have, but every year it's better. So we set the very high, the standards, very high standards. So I want to thank Professor Ioanna Constantinou for inviting me to participate and by sharing a few thoughts. And I want to say that Business Week has actually become a very precious tradition, annual tradition for all of us. Of course the students, but administrators alike, because we get to broaden our horizons and feel like students again during these days by listening to all these wonderful presentations. We get to meet remarkable professionals and get inspired by their exciting presentations, and why not get many good ideas. So I thank you again for giving me the opportunity. I wish all the best to the panel, and I want to give the floor to Professor Constantinou now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The intention is actually not to keep you long today and present you the speakers. That's why we have tried to present the bios, because actually if I start reading their experience and their work, it will take pages for each one of them. So I would just very quickly like to address, and we start with the gentleman because he's the only one, Mr. Kyriakopoulos, who is the CEO of Star Investments. Mr. Natario, that she's a prominent journalist. If I recall properly, past you were the writer at Καθημερινή, currently Top Prima, if I'm right. And she's going to moderate the discussion. Ms. Oldatos, that she's a psychologist at the Unity, or first psychiatric clinic. Am I right? Okay. And of course, Ms. Perpignan, that she belongs to the human resources sector and experience in the field. So I don't know what you're going to find in common, but I guess most probably you have achieved a work-life balance. So I'm going to allow Mr. Talatari to address the questions. Thank you.
So, time is a commodity, and as all commodities, it is limited. More time for life means less time for work. Still, we need as much life as work. The balance between those two is not easy to achieve, and this specifically when the crisis comes and changes all our priorities. Work-life balance tends to be a luxury during crisis. When productivity and competitiveness are the two new gods, it's really very difficult to have other necessities and priorities in mind. Let's see what the companies say about it and what HR and the psychologists can, in which way can help us to understand more if work-life balance can be something that we can help achieve. Let's start with Mr. Kyriakopoulos. Your position in that.
Yes. Thank you and good afternoon. The answer is not so straightforward. I will not say yes, it's work-life balance is a motivation tool. This is debatable as far as I understand it. First of all, there is a main assumption for all motivation theories, is that individuals have certain needs which leads them in certain ways to satisfy those needs. The way that they respond depends on many parameters. The main issue is if an individual is deciding rationally. This is not always the case. And this is the main problem with economics, is are the choices irrational, all choices are rational or not? And they are not. Many individuals do not decide rationally. Individuals act according to their feelings, and they can act, for example, as out of sense of duty. Also, there are cultural differences. The Japanese look at their job in a completely different way, like Europeans or Americans. Thus, it's very difficult to approach the work-life balance as a motivation strategy without looking first on other more important issues. If employees act rationally, the most important issues that the company has to focus are the goal-setting policies and rewards, the equity between employees. The employees have to perceive that what they input and what they take as an output is the same as in the other case of employees. So if, for example, somebody is asking somebody to work more and have less life, then there will be a problem with this equity issue. And the third is the employee has to know what is expected from him, and the employee perceives a strong link between his effort and the outcome. The reward must be what the employees want and not something else. If the employees act with their feelings, the company has to focus to the fact that the employee seek a meaning in all areas of their lives, both at work and outside work. The relative importance of work as compared to life outside will vary from individual to individual. and from time to time, so there is not the same perception for everyone. And there are some questions that have to be answered. Is an individual work to live or lives to work? Does work provide strong sense of identity? Does it provide the employee with source of positive self-esteem? Does the individual work like to construct a career? Are all individuals interested in that? Each individual have different answers in all the above questions and respond differently in the context of their work. Others assimilate with the work environment. Others resist to the work environment, and others accommodate themselves with the work environment. For each category, the work-life balance has a different meaning. Taking all above into account, a company has to tackle many other issues before focusing on the work-life balance. Also, it is very difficult to have a general policy, since each individual has a different perception about that. Everything is about perception. A company, to control the work-life balance, must be very well organized, and the time management skills of the management and the employees must be of a very high level, and this is not always the case. It has to be noted that most of the companies are result-oriented, and they do not care about hours of work. The new flex working hour system, or working from home using technology, are moving towards this direction. Thus, the responsibility for the work-life balance is shifting to the employees. If they use their time effectively, they can have a good balance. Otherwise, they will have problems. These are just some thoughts for discussion. Thank you.
As I was coming here, I kind of found it ironic on such a lovely day, instead of going for USA or something. We have to get stuck in this room and hear about the work-life balance. So, what I would like for you to do at first is to think about who you are. If I asked you, like, my name is Marina Silvadis, and how would I identify myself? I could identify as a psychologist, as a psychotherapist, but I'm also a mom and a wife, and all that is significant, and how you prioritize it. Unfortunately, as a clinical psychologist, I get more of the people that have the imbalance, and I try to help them find the balance. And I see it more like a seesaw. You know, that the children have the seesaw, and you put one child on the one side and the other child on the other side. And that's kind of how work and the rest of your life is. You have to find that sometimes you put more emphasis on the one side, and then you can't forget to put the emphasis on the other side. So sometimes in your career, you have to push and put more emphasis on your career. But on the other hand, you have to remember to put the balance on the other side too. Otherwise, and that's where my part comes in, there is a high ratio of depression, clinical depression, anxiety that comes as panic disorders, alcohol and drug use, and even psychosomatic disorders, where you get somatic symptoms that are because of some of the psychological reasons. Some interesting things that I found out while doing some research for this is that there is a quality of life which has to do with perceived work stress that you think that you have, and that is correlated with the odds of being treated for an emotional or mental health problem. The burnout, which is also one of the things that we use to describe the feeling that a person has when they get burned out at work. And it has to do with the coping strategies that they try to use but are ineffective and such. There are also gender differences. It's different if you're a woman in the workplace, and it's different if you're a man in the workplace. Like the feminists, they didn't think it out, I think, thoroughly. Because you get to be a full-time mom, and you also have to be a full-time career person, and that's not easy. There are also cultural differences. Here in Greece, you get a lot of, ooh, you're 30, when are you going to get married issues. While in the States, it's not so common to have that pressure from your family. And I think in the end, it has to do with choices of what you want to do, where you're going to put the emphasis, and how you're going to maintain that balance. And that's, and also the choice to get help from a professional when you think that you're not making it. So that's my starting remarks. Thank you.
Well, this magic word about choices is a fantastic relay, because actually this is exactly what my thoughts are all about. For me, this work-life balance issue is a bit strange in the first place, because are they different things, work and life? No, not really. So are we talking about personal life and professional life and time? Probably we're getting closer, but within that thing, there's one person, one individual, that's myself or yourself and everybody. So balancing something which is two things so intertwined, that's a strange concept in the first place. But before I go into what is my sort of conclusion and approach, for me it's all about answering the question, what does it mean being successful? What does success look like? And this is a question both for us individuals as well as companies. Are companies happy when they are achieving great results? Are they happy when they are achieving great results through happy people? This is all about choices. And there are ways, of course, to achieve that. About individuals, when am I happy? Am I happy if I have a good family? Am I happy if I have a good career? No. I'm happy when I have everything. Aren't you? But that doesn't work. What doesn't work? It doesn't mean that we can have it all at the same time. We can have it all, but not at the same time and not immediately. So at least we can try to have as much as we can both. The reason why I'm saying this, and I guess in the discussion later on I'll be given the chance to elaborate, is because I've had a fantastic career and I'm still very happy with my work. But I think that my greatest achievement is that through that I have been able, of course not alone, to keep the family intact. So my husband can still cope with me, he tolerates having me by his side. And I have two daughters, now 21 and 18, and we have managed to go through the storms of a great career so far, both two careers by the way, not only mine, my husband's as well, and still keep this together. So that's a nice sort of example that I can share with you. Now, I think that companies can, and I say should also, find ways that they have a culture that embraces the personal life of employees, and it can happen. There are examples we're going to elaborate, I guess, later on. but also individuals having that clarity of purpose and clarity of priorities and understanding that the responsibility lies in me. It's about the choices I make about the family, about the life that I have. I'm not talking now the luxury of old times, okay, if I don't like this work, I can move to the next job, etc. But I'm saying that we have to understand and be confronted with the fact that it is about the choices that we personally make. So setting our priorities and having a clarity of where do we want to go, what do we have to sacrifice along the way, to what extent can we handle that sacrifice and claiming what we deserve, both as individuals and as companies, then we can find a way to claim it and negotiate it. At least that's my opening thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much. I will start with the question to Mr. Kyriakopoulos. As you said, the working balance and the time management is shifted to the employees, and your company just asked for results. That means that you don't have a priority to have employees with working-life balance, and that means that the skill of time management is a skill that is in priority when they choose an employee.
As far as results concerned, I just stated that this is the majority of the companies, not only my company. This is the trend. Now, when you interview somebody, I mean, the main thing is that you try to find out if this applicant has the drive to be successful in the company. And this is the main criteria. Now, depending also on the type of work, I mean, if it's a managerial position, it's results driven, so nobody cares if he comes at 9 o'clock in the morning and leaves at 5. I mean, it has to do if at the end of the day he will be able to succeed. Now, the issues about time management has to do from both sides, from the employee and from the employer. I give you an example. If the CEO of a company does not have a good time management and start having meetings at 9 o'clock in the evening, he actually destroys the life of all the people. But why does he have to have at 9 o'clock in the evening meeting? Sometimes it's emergency, okay? If you take that out, it's a time management issue. So both parties must be able to organize the work in such a way that will permit them to have also a private life. So it's a combination of facts. But I have never had, as the main criteria, how many hours somebody will work or if he has a family or not. This is irrelevant.
Another question for you. The same question is for our HR also, but for you first. During the hiring process, is it important the applicant to be free from serious relational commitment and family obligation? You would prefer someone who is single or someone who has a family?
Again, depends. Depends because there are jobs that this is irrelevant. But there are other jobs that are important. I mean, if you're a journalist, and if I want to employ somebody who goes to war and give information about the war, to go to Syria, etc., and you just had a baby, I will not employ you because it's impossible for you to do this type of job. So everything depends on the individual and depends on the job description. But as a general policy, I don't believe that there are companies nowadays that everything is result-oriented, that will take care, that would be an important parameter for deciding to employ somebody or not.
Okay, thank you. And now, Mrs. Perpinia, what do you think? Companies are looking for people that are single without families obligation, or they don't care about it, they just want a good professional?
I'm afraid that these days there are companies that are looking for single individuals, that people that have less burdens, as they call it. And if we are to be very honest, there are also some companies that are just disengaging people, and especially women, because they think that they are a risk if they have a child and then they have to employ them on this maternity leave, etc. So unfortunately, the current situation and the crisis has brought up some not that nice or people-oriented approaches, and that is true out there. However, at the same time, I have to agree with Mr. Kyriakopoulos that most sound, therefore successful organizations are more focused on if the person can do the job or can be successful in the role that they have, rather than in their personal situations. In the past, there were some companies also that you had to sign a contract that for 3 years you wouldn't get married, or you wouldn't have a child, or to sign the contract that you could never get married to a person who was a co-employee, as one of them had to retire. So there were all sorts of policies, and surprise, surprise, I don't think they ever worked, because people did fall in love in the workplace, and they got married, and they were just hiding it. Or some just said, okay, this is my life, goodbye, thank you, I can't stay with you anymore. So people are people, you can't really control everything at the end of the day.
Talking about productivity and results,
I want to ask you, Mrs. Soldatos, what to make a person, a professional, more productive? And how important is to be psychologically well and happy in order to be productive?
Productivity is not directly correlated to happiness. It's more that one brings the other, and it doesn't have to do with one day I'm happy and the next day I'm not happy. You have to see it overall if you're happy in your work environment. And that has to do with your relationship with your coworkers, your supervisor, if you get any satisfaction from your work, and if your job is what you imagine it to be, and if you have the possibility of doing the stuff that you can do and you like to do it. And the more close it is to a healthy work environment and nearer to your choices and your talent and what you can do, then you will be more productive.
Another characteristic of our times is the technology that bring a virtual office. The virtual office is a possibility that everyone has to work from distance and work from home. Does that make productivity easier? The question is for you, Mr. Kyriakopoulos. If you think that virtual office helps?
Yes. The main thing is, I believe that we don't have to speak about productivity and efficiency, but about effectiveness, because they're two different things. The companies want the personnel to be effective, because they can be efficient but do something wrong. So you have to be effective. Now, as far as new technology, there is a trend to have the virtual office, and there are some companies here in Greece that have started it. A good example is if you go to Microsoft here in Greece. Over there, the number of desks are half of the number of employees, because most of the people work because again goes to the trend going that it's result oriented. The new technologies not only make your life easier, but also increases the quality of life. You can have more holidays and also be in your office, because you have your office wherever you are. You can have your office in Athens and be in China, for example, and be like being in your office. So this is a trend that it's on the positive side, will help the companies and also will help the employees, because they will be able to manage their life in a better way.
You think that companies are ready, to adopt it and to leave the employees free to work wherever they want?
This is not easy, because there are some prerequisites to be able to do that. And the first prerequisite is that all companies, they must have a complete business process of engineering. First of all, everything has to be computerized. But when we say computerized and you introduce information technology in company, it doesn't mean just to buy a PC or a system. It's to change the whole process of the company. And this takes many years. I mean, probably you had discussions in your classes about ERP systems. An ERP system is one of the most difficult things to introduce in a company. If you go and buy an ERP system from SAP, for example, tell you in 1 year everything is there. It's not the case. I haven't seen a full ERP system to be able to work in a company in less than 5 years, because you have to change everything. So first of all, you have to change everything, which means that you are able to have a paperless office and be able to have everything in the cloud and the internet. The second thing is that there is a technology over there. I mean, in one of our companies is a media company, it's a television station. Our company is paperless, the TV stations, that channel. But you cannot have the journalists work in their home, or in somewhere else in Athens, because our office is in Nicosia, because there is no Wi-Fi in the center of Athens, and we are not able to send pictures and the videos. So you must have infrastructure. I hope that in a few years this infrastructure will be in most of the places around the world, and this will be much easier.
Concerning the same subject, the virtual office and the possibilities that new technology gives us, you think that now that the boundaries between life and work are falling apart, you think that this will help people to work easier or not? Or it will be bad for them?
Well, I haven't seen anything bad about technology, to be honest. So I can only think that it is an extra tool. But I agree with Mr. Kyriakopoulos that there is also a good way to take advantage of technology and to work with it and have it work for you. And there's also a bad approach to using that and to getting it into extremes, like we are either all together in a room or we never meet because we are in a virtual offices, and that also has some big drawbacks, because people need to feel that they work in teams, they belong to a company and to a team. So for me, a mixed scheme is much more effective and efficient, rather than just giving all the technology and having people go out there and just send us the results and the numbers.
If you don't have something else to say, we can go to the questions of the audience.
Just a small note, except of the virtual office, now we have virtual companies. So Amazon is a virtual company. It's a network company. So we are moving fast. It's fast forward, all these things.
We can accept the questions.
Till we get the first question, one thing that I liked very much that I read was that engagement is either the dark or the bright side of workaholism. meaning that when people are engaged, they like what they do. They are workaholics. They are having a career in the company because that gives them a sense of purpose, and this is happily blended into their lives. Contrary, the dark side of it is when there is no engagement, they don't really like what they are doing, so this is just a job, and therefore this is just to bring income. So it all depends on how people feel and how they can balance that internally as to their work and of course their personal life.
We have a first question.
Hello, thank you all for being here. My question is this: we all know that Greeks work the longest hours compared to our fellow citizens in Europe. We also know from various stories that people who work in multinational companies and come to Greece, they say that a good manager abroad, in Israel, in Scandinavia, in Germany, is a person who comes on time and finishes on time. In Greece, a good manager is the one who comes first and leaves the office last. This is the role model. If we take these two things together, to me, they suggest that there is something wrong with the mentality of Greek businessmen or businesswomen. What is your perspective on that?
Culture is a very important thing in business. Probably, and it's the most difficult thing to change culture. My understanding is that, of course, something is not working well in Greece. And there are two reasons. The first reason is that the companies are not well organized. So there are time management problems, there are organizational problems, and this has as a result, not to be effective and need a lot of time to do something. The other problem is the public sector, because you have to work in order to do your business, you have to interact with the public sector, and with public sector, as you know, you have to, it's not comparable with any other place in the world, here in Greece. You need a lot of effort. And of course, there's also culture, this thing that you're telling us, that there are companies, and especially old family type companies, that whoever comes, the man has to come first and live at the end of the last and so on. But these things will change. The main issue is to be able to change the organization of the companies, and this will result in all, to success. Things will change.
Thank you very much. It was a really interesting question. It's a big challenge for everybody nowadays to manage its time and its personal life. I will share with you the personal cases. I have a really good friend, and recently he told me, I found a new job. I will be the marketing director in a company that is selling drugs. So I asked him, how many hours will you work in your new job? And the answer was really shocking for me and for my, let's say, perception about life and work. He told me that I will work from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the afternoon. He has 2 kids. It was really surprising because I used to know that performance is always a function that incorporates many different factors. The second example is almost more shocking. In Europe, unfortunately, we are facing a deployment issue. And at the central decision level, we should consider how will decrease unemployment. Is it a way to cut the working hours and offering some fair wages and salaries to people, or we should still focus on this long time working period, so with unhappy people and suddenly with economies without willing people to spend money? I don't know, what is your opinion? Should we find another working model?
This question, this question is for a politician, because you are raising the issue about the economic model in Europe, which I'm not sure if I am able to answer that. But first of all, about unemployment and hours, etc. There are two different things. I mean, your friend, you told us that goes to be a marketing manager in a company. I mean, there is no possibility to have shifts for a marketing manager. This is a one-person job. So if you are a manager, you have to work as much as required because you have the responsibility for your job. I don't know any economic system that can have shifts for management. To have, for example, 3 managing directors in order to have 3 shifts, 8-hour shifts. Now, this type of things has to do with the people that they have do other jobs. So for me, everything has to do with organization. And I believe that there are very few companies that they have a substantial mass that they do this kind of calculation. They are trying, in order to decrease their management cost, to have somebody to work 2 hours more. I mean, this is probably discussions that are done in small companies, medium companies with 10 persons, employees and things like that. But if you are talking for big organized companies, there is not such a debate. I have never heard something like that.
I would like to make a question. Thank you very much for being here. And it's interesting because we have a variety of speakers with experience, and also it's very good having Dr. Soldados here. So I have I'm a teacher, and I would like to know, when you interview candidates, which is the element, because obviously you are evaluating motivation. So which is the basic element among the very many elements which motivation has, which you would like us as teachers to develop? Because in HR we have power motivation, ambitiousness, which goes with other characters, etc. Which is the basic motivation which you think that the new culture should have? Thank you. The question is directed to Dr. Soldados.
I don't know if it's more of a motivation issue. It has to do, as a psychologist, you see individual differences. So you can't have a standard for everyone and that's going to work with everyone. So taking into account the individual differences is, I think, what would help a student find what is close to what they need and want. If that kind of helps you out. No? Kind of. There is no rule of thumb, unfortunately, to say that I'm going to do this and it's going to have the same effect to everyone. And I just wanted to take you up a bit. Mr. Kyriakopoulos said about the culture and how you're going to change culture. More of the, I have the tendency to think not how to change, but how to incorporate and how to take what you have and see the potential in that instead of trying to change things. And every person has either career-oriented or they're more relationship-oriented. So that's kind of something that can help you find. Some people like working alone. They're not a people's person. That's okay. So that's where the individual comes into play.
May I add to that something as the interviewing side of the table? First of all, I have never found a person that I have interviewed who was either interested or just keen on one thing that was a good choice. So what I have seen is that multi-faceted personalities are what are good and better for a role. So just focusing on one thing or the other thing never really helps the person or the role. Now, what I'm trying to find out in the interviews is the drive, the inner fire. What is their passion? What do they want to achieve? And this, when we can make the right connection with what the role means, then we are having a good selection of the candidates. So matching what are the qualities and the inner fire and the ambitions of the person with what does the role require is what makes us in HR successful in our choices. So indeed that's to support that we cannot channel people into one direction or the other direction, because out there are roles and options and opportunities that everybody can and will find a place to succeed, as long as they are looking for it and they are really keen on finding it. Sooner or later, it doesn't come as a first choice. And for me, what was really nice was the thing that I heard when I was discussing with Claudia before. Like, there are all sorts of failures and pitfalls in life, which is fine, as long as we fail fast and fail forward, as they say. And now, within this conference, fail faster and fail forwarder, if we may use that expression.
May I also add, except of the soft things that have to do with personality, there are also some hard things that somebody will ask for from a candidate. First of all is deep knowledge of what is presenting to me. I will also put candidates to solve mathematical problems if you come to my company for an interview. If you go for marketing, you have to know statistics, and you have to be able to solve statistical problems. The second thing is creative thinking. This is not, you cannot find it everywhere, so the people must have creative thinking. And the third is judgment, to be able to judge situations. This is why case studies as a tool for the class is something very useful. But never forget knowledge, deep knowledge of what you are studying, because you'll find when you go to search for a job. And deep, very deep.
I have a question for you. You have mentioned the virtual office as an option for the work-life balance, and I am wondering, my question is, do you believe that this process will have the same results in employee engagement, productivity and satisfaction, but also in customer satisfaction and engagement as compared to the classical method of working? For anyone. Yeah. The question is if the virtual office has the same positive results as the classical method of working in employee satisfaction, engagement, customer service, and all stuff.
I can give you some. Depends, the answer. Depends on the job description and what you're doing. For example, customer service. Do you know that if you call a company, let's say you have a mobile phone, Nokia, I don't know, and there's a problem and you call the customer service, do you know where is the customer service? Probably it's in India, the call center. No, but you know, these are, right now, it's everywhere. There are jobs that you need to work as a team. And in this type of jobs, you're not able to be 100% a virtual office. So there are combinations. This will be a slow transition. You cannot imagine a world after 3 or 5 years that everyone works from his home and they don't know your counterparty. And secondly, when we're talking for teamwork and all these things, I was able to attend the previous presentation, they have done something in China. This, you cannot do it from a virtual office. It's a team of people that they work together, they think, they discuss. So there are things that you need the team, and this will not be virtual, will be there. There are other things that you can work. If you are in IT and you develop IT programs, you can be in your home. You don't have to be in your office. Depends.
I think what one must take into account also is the differences in individuals and their need of structure. Some people thrive in having a 9-to-5 classical kind of job, but other people kind of thrive with having the freedom of a virtual office. So I think it's kind of extra individualized on productivity and the virtual office and classical 9-to-5.
Have a question. With respect to work-life balance, and in Greece specifically, what recommendations do you have because there is probably no work-life balance as referred to before, and as Dr. Tasoulis also said, that there is a different, as compared to other European countries and Scandinavian countries, the work setting and the schedule. So within the Greek culture, what could be recommended in order for workers to actually have a balance in both their work and their life, in their personal life? This could be addressed, I think, to anyone. The psychologist could say the perspective from psychology and HR, and from your experience you can share.
I think that, yes, Greeks work more than the Scandinavian, but we live in Greece. So, and the thing is that when I was in the States, I took on 20 pounds in the first year because everybody went to sleep at 6 or 7. They had dinner so early. So it has to do with the different rhythms, and we're fortunate enough still to have friends and to have family. And I think that we may be working extra hours than the Scandinavian, but we're having a much better time when we're not.
Well, of course, there are no recipes or magic tips. What I can say to you, share, is my personal experience. Working, having a work-life balance doesn't mean working less hours necessarily. Hours are very, very long. If there is the opportunity and the luxury, which at least for me, at one period of my life, I had that luxury and it worked well, was that I've asked that I leave a little bit earlier. And then, of course, after my kids were going to bed, I was with my laptop working another couple of hours just to wrap up and finish things. So that was a discussion and a promise to the company that it will not be at the expense of my targets and my results. And I had to prove that that was the case. That gave me a nice interval of having the mama role in between, which I like, and it gave me also a very different perspective. It was a wipeout of what was happening till that time, and then fresh and could continue. I have to say that that was a luxurious, probably, setting where I could do that, which was not the case throughout my career. So the next best thing was realizing that from the moment that I was home or during the weekend, that was my opportunity to take the different role and to really have fun with it. I mean, I remember myself thinking, oh my God, now I have to change clothes and take everything out, and I have to go to the playground, and I have to go to the alumni park for a party, and I was going like this, and then I said to myself, come on, you you can also enjoy that. You can just cry yourself around it, or you can enjoy that and you can find the good moments in it and start being a child yourself, or get a friend so the kids have good company and you can have your cup of coffee with your friend, which would never have happened otherwise. So I tried to find ways to get around it, and it has worked. And because I was traveling very, very much, which is another kind of challenge that you have when you are not physically present for your family, so struggles hit you all the time. I realized that also distance is a very relative thing, because you can be very close even though you are not near, with your children, with technology, with phone calls, with all sorts of ways. And also you can be very far away, although you are in the same room. It's only up to how you see things and how you want to make them work. At least that was my experience.
Okay, thank you very much. If there is not any other question, I'll conclude. Time management and individual skills of creativity, judgment, and deep knowledge of your specialty are what is needed for professional nowadays. And if you want a work and life balance, then this is a personal issue of how you mix life with your work and how successfully you will be able to manage your time. You agree? Okay.
Mix the two and enjoy the cocktail.
So thank